So first step of dilatation and curettage or dilatation and evacuation. First step is what? First step is retracting the posterior vaginal wall. Then what will you do? After retracting the posterior vaginal wall, we will have to ask the patient whether she has emptied her bladder or not. If she has not emptied her bladder, then we have to evacuate her bladder. How to evacuate her bladder? Using this metallic catheter. How will you insert the metallic catheter? Like this. This perforated or this perforated end, it will be inserted into the urethra and this stellate will be taken out. And now the urine will be drained outside. So what will be the direction of this instrument? Like this, not like this, not like this, anything. This U-shaped curve should be projected downwards. So you will be inserting the metallic catheter and evacuating the bladder first. After the bladder has been evacuated, then what will you do? You will examine under anesthesia. What will you examine? You will examine the per vaginal examination you will do, and to see what is the size of the uterus now. Suppose she has given a history that she is having her LMP suppose 6 weeks back or suppose 8 weeks back. So her period of gestation you have calculated like she is 8 weeks period of gestation or 6 weeks period of gestation. Now what you have to do is you have to examine her under anesthesia so as you know that whatever she is telling is correct, and size of the uterus is 8 week size uterus, whether it is anteverted or retroverted, or whether there is any other fibroid or any other pelvic mass or anything which can obstruct your procedure. So first step is retracting the posterior vaginal wall. Then you ask the patient whether she has evacuated her bladder, or if she has not evacuated her bladder, then you insert this metallic catheter into it, take out this and let her evacuate her bladder, and then you do examination under anesthesia and assess the size of the uterus. Then what will you do? Then you will hold the anterior lip of the cervix so as to straighten the cervical canal, which will allow you to for easy instrumentation. So what out of these three instruments, what instrument you will use to hold the anterior lip of cervix? All these three instruments are used for holding the anterior lip of cervix. Since the dilatation and evacuation or dilatation and curettage is being used for, suppose she is a pregnant woman and we are doing it for termination of pregnancy, we are evacuating the for removing the product of conception, we are doing it. For that matter, what happens is during pregnancy the vascularity of the cervix increases. So now if we hold the anterior lip of cervix using this instrument, see, this has serrated ends, right? It has a curved outline and a serrated hand. So now if you hold a highly vascular soft structure like cervix using this, what will happen? It will injure the anterior lip of cervix, because if you are holding the anterior lip of cervix like this and pulling it like, it will, the tissue will come out and will start bleeding, right? So in case of paras os, or what we say is in case of a pregnant patient or a paras os or paras cervix, we never use tooth valcellum. This instrument is known as valcellum. So we never use tooth valcellum. These three instruments you often get confused. See, this instrument is also having teeth. See, this instrument, the ends are also serrated, and see this instrument, the ends are also serrated, right? But what is the basic difference between these two? See, this end is curved and this end is straight. So this is known as Allis tissue holding forceps. This is Allis tissue holding forceps. ALLIS. And this is valcellum. So these two instruments we do not use in case of termination of pregnancy, in case of a paras os, we for holding the anterior lip of cervix. If the os is paras, we use this sponge holding forceps. Why? Because see, it has got serration, see, it has got serrated ends, right? The ends are serrated, but it does not have any teeth like structure. So you can hold the anterior lip of cervix and pull it towards you, but it won't cause any trauma to the cervix. That is why we use the sponge holding forceps. Now after you have pulled the cervix, now what will you do? you will use this instrument to measure the size of the uterus. Now, what is this instrument called? Anybody? This instrument is called metallic, malleable, graduated, olive-tipped uterine sound. See, it is very easy to remember. See, this is what? Metallic. You can easily bend it according to the shape, according to the anteverted uterus or retroverted uterus. So, this is metallic, malleable, and see, there are markings along the entire length of the C4, 5 markings are there. So, this is graduated, metallic, malleable, graduated, olive tip. See, this is a rounded tip. So, this is known as olive tip uterine sound. Why olive tip? Suppose you are inserting it inside the uterus to measure the uterine size. What happens? Forcefully, if you insert it, had it been a pointed end, it would have perforated the uterus. But this tip is now rounded, it's olive tip, so it won't injure the uterus, it won't cause any perforation. So that is why this olive tip. What is the significance of olive tip? To prevent the uterine trauma or uterine perforation. And what is the graduations are for? For measuring the uterine size. Why it is malleable? Because so that we can bend it according to the size, according to the different curvatures of the uterus, whether it is anteverted or retroverted. So, what is the name of this instrument? The entire name? Uterine sound. What is its use is? Measure the uterine size. Now, after holding, we hold the uterine sound in a pen holding fashion, and slowly we insert the uterine sound into the uterus till the tip touches the uterine fundus. So, we now know that the tip has reached the uterine fundus, and we measure the uterine sound. Suppose this is the uterine fundus. We slowly insert the uterine sound through the cervix, and it hits the first point of resistance, it hit. So, we know we have reached the uterine fundus. Now, we slowly measure, okay fine, this much is the measurement, and we slowly take this out. Now, we have to dilate the uterus, right? Because the os is closed. Now, you have to, this instrument has to go in, so you have to dilate the uterus. Now, how do you know whether this instrument will pass into the internal os or not, through the external os, and how far you have to let this instrument go? So, we measure the length like this. Okay, fine. This much is my length of the uterus, and this much in the instrument should go inside the uterus up to this. Now, you slowly insert this dilators into the uterus. Now, these dilators are also having markings. This is the Heger's dilator. Okay, this is known as Heger's uterine dilators. These uterine dilators come in different sizes. This is size 14 and 13. See, there are two markings over here. One is 14, one is 13. So, this end is 13 and this end is 14. See, both the ends are not similar. One is thicker, one is thinner. So, one is of the bigger size, one is of the smaller size. This is the highest size actually. We don't have the smaller ones. I should have shown you the smaller ones. It comes in the sizes of 8, 2, 4. Like this, is gradually increases. So first uterine sound is the smallest uterine sound size we use. Suppose it is comes at 4, then we start dilating with 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. And what are the curvatures are for? Like this you put it if it is retroverted. Like this you put it if it is anteverted. So once you dilate with 8, then you dilate with 9, then followed by 10. In gradual uterine dilatation we do, so that the internal os and external os is opened, and then we proceed further. So what we did, we measured the uterine sound. Suppose the size of the uterus is up to 3, marking 3. So we measure, okay fine, our dilator should go into inside the uterus up to the marking 3, like this. So up to this length dilator should go. Because beyond this if you go, then you are sure you are perforating the uterus or you are causing any trauma to the patient. So up to this marking only, you put your index finger like this and you slowly dilate the uterus, so that nothing more gets into the uterus, right? Only this much of part you insert it and slowly dilate, so that no trauma, no perforation has been done. Now once this dilatation has been done, now you know the os is dilated, there's some amount of bleeding are coming, some amount of products of conception are coming out. Then what you do is, you insert this ovum holding forceps. This is what is known as is ovum holding forceps. See, these two instruments will you get confused, right? Because these two instruments often look similar. See, both have same tip. This has a curved tip with some perforations. This have a straight tip with serration. What is the difference between these two then? It has a catch. See, this has a catch. We hold the you hold the anterior lip of cervix like this. Suppose this is the anterior lip of cervix. You can easily hold it like this and you can put a traction and pull it towards you. But with this instrument, you cannot hold anything. See, it does not have any catch. Why it does not have any catch? Because it is known as ovum holding forceps. So it will, you put it slowly inside the uterus and you slowly take out the product of conception or whatever material or any blood clot or anything which is present inside the uterine cavity, you slowly pull it down. Suppose this instrument is having catch, or suppose you are using this instrument inside the uterine cavity, what happens? You hold, suppose a uterine polyp is there, or you hold some tissue and you just put the catch and you just pull it. There will be huge amount of bleeding. There's high chances of injury if you use this sponge holding forceps inside the uterine cavity. That is why we use this ovum forceps or ovum holding forceps. The most common mistake what you guys do in the exam is, what is the use of ovum holding forceps? To hold the ovary, to hold the ovum. This is the answer you guys give during the exam. So, ovum holding forceps is used for removing the product of conception which is present within the uterine cavity or any blood clot or any other structure, and that is why it does not have any catch, because to prevent any kind of injury while removing things from the uterine cavity. Even if you try to pull things in a forcible manner, you won't be able to do it because it does not have any catch. You cannot cause any trauma using this instrument. That is why it has been designed like this. So what is the basic difference between these two? These two almost look similar. This is a straight tip, this is a curved tip. Both have serrations, but this instrument has a catch, it does not have a catch. Now once you have removed the product of conception, another instrument what we can do for this evacuation purposes is this. This is what? This is not a straw. Some of the seniors have answered in exam as this is straw. This looks like a straw, but this is not. This is plastic Karman's cannula. It comes with in different sizes. According to the size of the uterus, we choose the Karman's cannula. Suppose this is a 8-week size uterus. First of all, what we did is, we calculated the gestational age. Then we did examination and under anesthesia to know what is the size of the uterus. We came to know, okay, fine, whatever we have calculated, that is the size of the uterus, that is 8-week size. Now at 8-week size, we choose the number 8 Karman's cannula. This is not number 8 Karman's cannula. We choose the number 8 Karman's cannula. Suppose it is 12 weeks pregnancy. So we choose number 12 Karman's cannula. Same with this Hager's dilator as well. We slowly keep on dilating and keep on increasing the number as per. Like we start with number 4, then 5, then 6, then 7, like that. So with Karman's cannula, suppose this is 12 weeks uterus, so we start with number 12 Karman's cannula. What happens is, these two ends, it is put inside the uterine cavity, and through this end one suction machine is attached and the suction pressure is created, and once we have reached the desired pressure, we slowly switch it on and in a back and forth motion we start moving this device inside the uterine cavity. What happens? The product of conception gets sucked through these two holes and it is sucked out of the uterine cavity. And in case after the procedure is done, what happens? What we do is, we use this, what? So what is this? This has got, see, this is having one blunt end and this is having one sharp end. So this is uterine curette. So in case of a pregnant patient, when you are doing this curettage for medical termination of pregnancy or surgical termination of pregnancy, what we do is, we use this blunt end. We use to curette the uterine walls. But suppose we are doing this curettage for collecting endometrial samples. For suppose she has come for endometrial biopsy and we need to take a biopsy sample. Then we use this sharp end. So sharp end is always used for gynecological procedures, for benign procedures, for taking endometrial samples. But once you are doing this curettage for surgically terminating pregnancy and checking whether this evacuation process is complete or not, we always use the blunt end. For this instrument also, we have measured the uterine size as suppose 3. We match the size, okay, up to this end it has to be inserted. We insert it like this in a pain holding fashion, like this. We insert it and slowly curate it out, And how do you know whether the procedure is complete or not? No. See, while you are curating, first you curate the anterior wall, the posterior wall, then both the lateral walls, you will find a gritty sensation. Once you have reached a gritty sensation, that means what? The procedure is complete. Now no more product of conception is there within the uterine cavity. So this is how you know that this procedure is complete. Same with this ovum forceps as well. Once you are taking the product of conception like this, you are taking them out. How do you know that all the product of conception are gone? The uterine cavity is evacuated. No, with this instrument, while you are doing this, there will be bubbles. When the bubbles start appearing and there is a bubbling thing is going on, and you can see that bubbles are appearing and no more products are coming out, then you know that the procedure what were you doing is done. Same with this this Carman's cannula as well. Once you have the sensation of gritty sensation on all the walls, you know the procedure is complete. So someone summarize what are the instruments used and how the procedure is done. You tell me. What is your name? Oshmita. You tell me first, how will you proceed? How will you proceed with a patient who has come up to you? Suppose she is 8 weeks pregnant, she wants surgical termination of pregnancy, or suppose she has incomplete abortion, she has taken MTP kit, but some product of conception is still there within the uterine cavity. Now, how will you proceed with the process of DNC or DNE? প্রথমেই তো প্লান্ট ইউজ, ফার্স্ট আমরা কোন ইনস্ট্রুমেন্ট নেব? সিন স্পেকুলাম নেব। সিন স্পেকুলাম দিয়ে what will you do? You will retract the posterior vaginal wall. Then you will ask the patient about what? Whether she has evacuated her bladder or not. If she has not evacuated her bladder or the bladder is palpable per abdomen, what will you do? Exactly. Which end? This end will go inside or this end will go inside? This end, na? End will go inside, and you will take this stylet out, and then you will evacuate the bladder. Then what will you? The next person will tell me. And then you will under examination under anesthesia, what all things you will assess? You will assess the size of the uterus, whether it is corresponding with the period of gestation or not. Then you will assess whether it is anteverted or retroverted. Then any other anomalies or any other adnexal SOL or any other cervical fibroid or any other thing is present or not. Okay. Then what will you do? Next. Per vaginal examination, she told you. Examination under anesthesia was per vaginal examination. Then what will you do? Instruments. Then what, out of these 3 instruments, you name all these 3 instruments and tell me which instrument you will pick up. You will pick up Valsallam for a paras service, right? This is what I taught in the class. No. Then what will you use? What is this? This instrument is tooth Valsallam, multiple tooth or tooth Valsallam, and this is Alice tissue holding forceps. What is the utility of this sedation? To firmly hold any other structure, any tissue to firmly hold. Do you want to hold the cervix in a firm manner so that it gets injured? Because the paracervix is always vascular. So what will you use? Sponge holding forceps. Then after holding the sponge holding forceps, you retract the anterior lip of the cervix. Then what will you do? you will measure the size of the uterus. So what instrument you will use to measure the size of the uterus? কেউ একজন বল, you tell me. Metallic, malleable, graduated, olive tipped, uterine sound. After you measure the size of the uterus, then what will you do? Match how much length of the Hager's dilator it will be inserted into the uterine cavity, and then slowly keep on dilating the uterine internal os. Now Hager's dilators comes in different sizes. So these are the blunt tipped, as well as two sizes are there. One is thicker one is thinner one. You gradually keep on dilating the uterine os. Then what will you do? What instrument you will take up? Ovum Horsling forceps. Using how do you know that the procedure has ended and all the product of conception has been taken out? Bubbles start appearing. After the procedure is what another instrument what you can do is plastic Carman's cannula. How do you decide which size of the Carman's cannula you have to use? As per the gestational week. Suppose she is 6 weeks, 6 week size. She is 8 weeks, 8 week size Carman's cannula. She is 12 weeks, 12 week size Carman's cannula. And the other end of the Carman's cannula is attached to that of the suction machine. Then all the products of conception are taken out. How do you know that all the products of conception are taken out? The gritty sensation occurs. And you use another instrument we use to check the completion of the procedure is uterine curette. So there are two ends of the uterine curette. One is the blunt end, one is a sharp end. Sharp end is used for endometrial sampling or gynecological procedure, and the blunt end is used for surgical evacuation of the placental clots or any other return products of conception. So after the end of the procedure, what you do, you check for any other trauma, any other local pathological bleeding, and send a specimen for histopathological examination. These are the instruments you need to study for DNC. So what are the confusing? These two instruments look similar. This has a catch and this does not have a catch. So any instrument which is looking similar, this is ovum and this is sponge holding forceps. Same, this confusion occurs with these two instruments. One is multiple tooth valsalum, one is Ellis tissue holding forceps. These both look similar, see, but this is a bigger and a stout instrument with a curved end, and this is a straight instrument. Anybody wants to ask any question about the instruments? Use of Hager's number 8 dilator is to check for cervical incompetence. Same with uterine sound as well. If you can pass the uterine sound very effectively and it is very easily passing, it is a off-label use, then also we say that it is used for this thing, checking for cervical incompetence as well. These two Hager's dilator, people keep on asking. One is where you will use number 12 directly, where you will use number 8 directly to check for cervical incompetence, and number 8 for molar pregnancy. Obviously, that is what we are doing. Examination under anesthesia. Posterior wall retract kore after evacuating the bladder. First step what we are doing is evacuation of the bladder and then examination under anesthesia. So anesthesia has been already been done. তখন তো অ্যানেস্থেশিয়া দিই না আমরা তো এটা, দিস ইজ আ পেইনফুল প্রসিজার না, ইউ আর হোল্ডিং দ্য anterior lip of the cervix and pulling it towards you. Obviously this is a painful procedure. It can be done in various ways. You can give spinal anesthesia, you can give general anesthesia, you can give paracervical block as well. That is up to you what anesthesia you are using. Please keep a check on these two instruments. This is ovum and sponge holding, and this Ellis and valsalum. These two instruments always look similar. In the exam there will be many different sizes of this instrument, and you keep on get confusing between these four. এটাকে স্পঞ্জ হোল্ডিং, এটাকে এলিস, এটাকে অন্য কিছু, এটাকে অন্য কিছু, এটা ডিফারেন্ট ডিফারেন্ট নাম তারপরে হয়ে যাবে। আর ওভাম হোল্ডিং ফরসেপ দিয়ে প্লিজ দয়া করে ওভারি বা ওভাম ধরা হয় না। তোমাদের সব সিনিয়রেই একই আনসার পরীক্ষার সময় বলে আসে, সেটা হলো ওভাম দিয়ে ওভাম ধরা হয়, আর না হলে ওভারি ধরা হয়। সো প্লিজ ডোন্ট মেক দিস মিস্টেক। এটা দিয়ে ওভাম ওভারি কিছুই ধরে না, নামটাই ওভাম, বাকি ওভাম ওভারির সাথে এর কোনো লেনা দেনা নেই। ওভাম পিকআপেও ইউজ হয় না ফর দ্যাট ম্যাটার। এটা দিয়ে শুধু রেট্রোপ্লাস মানে আরপিওসি, রিটেন প্রোডাক্টস অফ কনসেপশন আর ইউট্রাইন ক্যাভিটিতে কোনো যদি ব্লাড ক্লট থাকে সেটা রিমুভ করা হয়, তাছাড়া কিন্তু কিছু করা হয় না। আর এটার ক্যাচ এই কারণেই নেই, সো দ্যাট ইনস্ট্রুমেন্ট ইজ এ ট্রমাটিক, এটা দিয়ে কোনো ট্রমা যেন না হয়। এটাতে ক্যাচ আছে মানে এটা দিয়ে ট্রমা ক্যান বি কজ, দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই। এটার মাঝখানে ক্যাচের মধ্যেও কোনো টিস্যু চলে আসতে পারে, এটার মধ্যেও কোনো টিস্যু চলে আসতে পারে, দ্যাট ইজ ওয়াই এটা এ ট্রমাটিক। এটা ট্রমাটিক, এটা এ ট্রমাটিক। আর এটা দিয়ে ব্লাডার সাউন্ডিং, এই সাউন্ডিং ওই সাউন্ডিং কিছু করা হয় না, এটা দিয়ে ইউটেরাসের সাইজই মাপা হয়। ইট হ্যাজ গট নো রিলেশন উইথ দ্য সাউন্ড। এটার নাম ইউটেরাইন সাউন্ড, এটা টিপটা অলিভ টিপ, দ্যাটস ইট। এদিক ওদিক আর কিছু নয় কিন্তু।